I never should have gone back to Westwood Elementary. Not just because the place was falling apart. Collapsing ceilings, rotting floors, windows blackened with years of dust, but because of what I found there. Or more accurately, what found me. It started as a simple urban exploration video for my YouTube channel. Abandoned Places with Matt wasn't exactly blowing up, but I had a solid following. People who loved creepy history, forgotten buildings, and ghost stories. And this place, it had all three. Westwood had been shut down for years. Officially, it was due to budget cuts. Unofficially, everyone in town knew about the incident. No one liked to talk about it. Teachers transferred, families moved away. And now, it was just another decaying husk, waiting to be torn down. I had been a student there once. Back when the classrooms weren't filled with mold and rats. Back when the halls weren't silent. Back when he was still there. I slipped through a broken side door, my flashlight cutting through the dust-heavy air. The place smelled like mildew and old paper. My footsteps echoed too loud. Most of the classrooms had been stripped bare. Broken desks, toppled bookshelves, the occasional forgotten lesson scrawled on a chalkboard. But in the main hallway, I found something weird. A trap door. It was barely noticeable, hidden beneath a layer of grime. A heavy iron ring jutted from the floor. I set my camera up on a tripod, making sure to get a good shot. This wasn't in the original blueprints, I muttered, wiping the dirt away. I yanked the door open. A gust of stale air hit me. Darkness yawned beneath. A cramped space lined with wooden beams and dust-covered objects. I hesitated, but the view count I'd get from this discovery, worth it. I lowered myself down. The crawl space smelled like old wood and something sour. I swept my flashlight around. That's when I saw it. Tucked in the corner, half buried in dust, was a clown doll. It was old, porcelain face cracked, glassy eyes staring. A faded red suit, ruffled collar, stiff little hands curled in its lap. But the worst part, a metal crank protruded from its back. I swallowed. I knew better than to mess with creepy old toys, but I also knew my subscribers would love this. Guys, this is the creepiest thing I've ever found, I whispered to the camera. And I'm not touching it. I reached out. My fingers brushed the crank. The doll laughed. Not a recording, not a mechanical chime. A real, high-pitched giggle. I yanked my hand back, heart slamming. Did you guys hear that? My voice shook. Something moved behind me. A scraping sound. I spun, flashlight darting over the space. Nothing. Just rotting wood and dust. My breathing was too loud. My hands were shaking. It was just my imagination. Just an old broken toy. That's what I told myself. And like an idiot, I took it home. Bringing the clown doll home was the biggest mistake of my life. I should have left it in that crawl space. Let it rot with the rest of Westwood's history. But no, I had to be the dumbass YouTuber who thought, hey, let's make this a 2-part video series. People love haunted shit. I propped it on my bookshelf, right between an old gas mask and a vintage Ouija board. My whole setup had an aesthetic, you know? Creepy, mysterious, a little dangerous. The clown fit right in. I filmed a quick intro for my channel. Alright, guys, this is the most messed up thing I've ever found. This old-ass clown doll from an abandoned school. Get this, when I touched the crank, it laughed. No batteries, no wind-up. It just started laughing. I shook my head. I don't know how it works, but I'm gonna test it out. I hesitated. My fingers hovered over the crank. The apartment was dead silent. The only noise, the hum of my computer. I turned the handle. One slow, deliberate twist. Nothing happened. I frowned and tried again. Still, nothing. The laughter I heard at the school. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe I freaked myself out. I sighed. Guess it's broken. But later that night, I woke up to the sound of something moving. I sat up, heart hammering. My room was dark, the only light a faint glow from my monitor. Something creaked. I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight. The beam swept over my desk, the floor, Everything looked normal. Then, I turned toward the bookshelf. The clown doll was gone. I froze. No fucking way. A giggle. Low, choking, right behind me. I spun, phone light darting over the room. Empty. My skin went cold. Slowly, I turned back to my desk. The clown was sitting on my chair. I bolted out of my room so fast I nearly ate shit in the hallway. I didn't go back in until sunrise. I did what any sane person would do. I stuffed the clown in a box and shoved it in my closet. Out of sight, out of mind. Maybe I had imagined everything. Maybe I moved it myself, half asleep. And that's what I told myself. Until Danny died. Danny was my best friend. We'd been filming together for years. He was the one who got me into urban exploring. And the one who taught me how to pick locks and avoid security cameras. We had plans to check out an abandoned hospital next weekend. Then, I got the call. Car accident. Freak thing. Tires blew out on the freeway. Instant death. I didn't put it together at first, but then I checked the timestamp on our last conversation. 2:43 a.m. The same time I heard the clown doll giggle. The same time I found it sitting in my chair. I felt fucking sick, like something inside me was unspooling. He killed him. I don't know how. I don't know why, but I knew. I fucking knew. I had to get rid of it. I took the box outside, found an empty lot down the street, hidden behind an old construction site. I doused it in lighter fluid and struck a match. The flames roared up instantly. The wood popped, the cardboard curled, smoke billowed into the sky. I felt relief. Finally, the fucking thing was gone. Then, I heard it. A scream. Not from a person, from inside the fire. High-pitched, piercing, like a child being burned alive. I stumbled back, heart slamming. The flames twisted, shapes forming a face, a wide, grinning mouth, dark, empty eyes. I ran. Didn't stop until I was back in my apartment, locking the door, my breath coming in ragged gasps. And when I turned around, the clown doll was sitting on my bed. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat there, staring at the clown doll on my bed, trying to convince myself that this shit wasn't real. Maybe I was sleep deprived. Maybe my brain was short-circuiting from some type of stress. But then, the doll moved. Not much, just a slight tilt of its head, a slow twitch in its porcelain fingers. But enough to notice. Enough to make me sprint out the room and slam the door behind me. I didn't go back inside until the sun was up. And when I did, the doll was gone. I wasn't stupid enough to think it was over. Danny was dead. I know the clown had something to do with it. So, I started digging, searching for anything about Westwood Elementary, the crawl space, the thing I had found. Most of the school's history was mundane. Opened in 1953, closed in 2011. But then, I found something buried deep in an old forum. A post from 2009. Did anyone else hear about Westwood Experiment? My uncle used to work there as a janitor. Said they had a special class in the 80s for kids who were different. They ran experiments on them. Said it was supposed to be about learning techniques. But kids started getting sick. Weird accidents. Nightmares. One of them, Tommy something, died in the classroom. The school covered it up. I sat back, stomach twisting. I kept searching. There wasn't much, but I found an old newspaper article about a teacher named Mr. Holloway. He was in charge of special development programs at Westwood. The article didn't say much, just that he resigned suddenly in 1987. I searched his name. Nothing. No records. It was like he had just disappeared. But then, I found the yearbook picture. A black and white photo of his classroom. Kids in neat little rows, staring blankly at the camera. And in the teacher's arms, sitting on his lap, the clown doll. Same cracked porcelain face, same faded red suit, same metal crank jutting from its back. I slammed my laptop shut. My breath was coming too fast, my hands slick with sweat. This thing was old, older than I had thought. That night, I crashed on my couch. I wasn't going back in my room. Fuck that. At some point, I drifted off. Then, at exactly 2:43 a.m., I woke up. I heard the sound of the crank turning. I went cold. It was in the room with me. I stayed perfectly still, barely breathing. The darkness felt too heavy, pressing down like a weight. I could hear my heartbeat loud in my ears. Then I heard it again. Then I heard the sound of the crank turning again. Then, the laugh. Right behind me. My body moved before my brain did. I lunged for the lamp, flipping it on. Empty room. No doll. But when I turned toward the TV, I saw the reflection. The clown doll, sitting on the coffee table, staring at me. I spun around. Nothing was there. My hands were shaking. I grabbed my phone, flipping to the camera app. And there it was. It only existed in reflections. My breath hitched. I turned the camera to myself, saw my own terrified face, then moved it back. The clown was closer now. It was watching me. I didn't scream. I didn't run. I just did the only thing I could think of. I turned the phone off. And when I looked up, the room was empty. I knew I couldn't keep it. Not if I wanted to survive. So, I found a buyer. There's a whole online world of haunted object collectors, and I found the perfect guy. A dude named Elliot Grayson. He ran a website called Occult Emporium, specializing in cursed items, spirit-infested dolls, all that horror movie shit. I sent him a message. Antique clown doll, hand-cranked, possible supernatural properties, looking to sell. He replied within 10 minutes. I'll take it. Name your price. I didn't care about the money. I just wanted it gone. We agreed to meet the next day. I packed the doll in a box, taped it shut, stuffed it in my closet. One last night with it. That night, I didn't sleep. Not because I was scared, but because I kept hearing it. The crank turning from inside the box. I was up before the sun. The second the clock hit 7 a.m., I grabbed the box, shoved it in my trunk, and started driving. Elliot Grayson, the collector, had a shop about 2 towns over. A little hole-in-the-wall place filled with dusty antiques and cursed objects. I didn't care what he did with the clown. Locked it in a vault, sold it to some other poor bastard, threw it in the ocean, whatever. I just wanted that fucking thing out of my life. Elliot was waiting when I pulled up. He was exactly the kind of guy you'd expect to deal in haunted shit. Thin, pale, wire-rimmed glasses, and this weird intensity in his eyes. Like he was too interested in things normal people avoided. You brought it? He asked. I popped the trunk and handed him the box. He ran a hand over the tape, eyes narrowing, like he could feel something inside. Then he smiled. Oh, yeah, this one's special. I didn't want to know what he meant by that. Great, I said. It's yours. He handed me an envelope, cash, like we agreed. I didn't even count it. I just turned, ready to leave, to forget. Then he said something that made my stomach drop. You played it, didn't you? I froze. Elliot chuckled, shaking his head. They always do. He taped the lid of the box. See, these things, they need to be seen. They need an audience. That's why they find people like you. The hair on my arm stood up. Enjoy your money, he said, turning toward his shop. But if I were you, I'd stay away from mirrors for a while. I drove home. I told myself it was over. I even filmed a new video. Something light. Just a dumb tour of a local ghost town. I didn't even think about the clown. I didn't think about Elliot. I was scrolling through the news when a headline stopped me cold. Local shop owner missing. Occult Emporium closed. I clicked the article. The cops found his shop abandoned. Lights still on, door unlocked. Nothing taken. No signs of a struggle. Just empty. Like he'd vanished into thin air. The only thing they found? His phone. The last picture he took was still open. A selfie. And in the reflection behind him, the clown doll. I didn't sleep that night. I just kept refreshing Occult Emporium's website, watching the closed for business message blink on the screen. Then, around 2:43 a.m., something changed. The website flickered, the screen glitched, and then a new listing appeared. For sale, antique clown doll, hand-cranked mechanism, laughs when played. Price, best offer. I stared at it, blood running cold. At the bottom of the listing, in small red letters, it wants to be seen. My screen glitched again. And then, somewhere in my apartment, I heard a giggle.